Hey everyone, my name is Eris. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Eris Atelier. So today I'm actually posting a tutorial on how I made this drawstring makeup purse with Velcro. So this was actually the same makeup purse that was actually distributed in my sister's wedding, and I just want to point two things out. So first of all, the fabric I actually use for this purse is actually kind of thick, so I just sort of skipped the step to add like an interface or like an extra lining to make it thicker. But if you want to actually try this out and you're using a soft fabric, I would recommend you actually use interfacing with it. And another thing is that this is a makeup purse. So whatever you're going to use for the inner part has to be something that doesn't stain so easily. So I just sort of opted for black silk. But if you're using any color fabric, you should always pick a fabric that doesn't like hold stain. So I would still recommend either silk or satin. Either choices are actually good. But so far I actually like this post because it's sort of one of those things where you just, instead of like bringing all your stuffs out and everything, you just open it and your makeup is just all laid out for you. So yeah, it's a very good choice, especially if you're traveling and you're like me, you don't like a lot of makeup. You just open your stuff and you're done just like that. So I'm so sorry I haven't been active for a while now. I've had to deal with like so many issues, but I am back and hopefully I get to do better this time. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or any comments or anything, you could put it down below, or you could send me a DM. You could follow me on Instagram at Eris_Atelier, or my private page at Eris Okwan. Or if you have any collaboration ideas or anything, you could send an email to erisatelierlagos@gmail.com. So I hope you like this video. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you get to try it. And please, if you actually try this, I would actually like to see it. You could send a picture or something, that I could probably reshare that here or on Instagram.
Just want to give the breakdown on how I created the pattern. It's basically just a circle, and the radius I use is 28 centimeter. That was how I cut it, and I'm just going to mark two spots. This one is where I'm going to sew the piece of Velcro on, and distance is 3 centimeter from the edge, and just right opposite is where we're going to sew the flap, and the distance from the edge to where you're going to mark is actually 8 centimeter, and the length of the line is basically the width of the flap, which is 14 centimeter. And I'm just going to do like a rough shape here, and it's this way you get the dimensions. So here is 14 centimeter, which is, yeah, same place there, and the length of this is going to be 18 centimeter. That is how long the flap is going to be. So there's a third piece, which is basically what goes around the edge of the main circle you're going to cut, and it's just a long strip. Let me just do like a rough shape here, and it's 92 centimeter by 6 centimeter. And because this goes 2 times, so both halves, so it means we're going to now cut 2 pieces. So these are the patterns I used for the previous job I did. So just to give an idea of how it's going to look like when you cut it out on paper, I just sort of marked the middle because that is where I'm going to sew the Velcro on, this middle line here. And for the main circle, you just fold it into a pie shape and you cut it there. So when you unfold it, then you actually get your circle. So the radius is 28. Then I just sort of marked the middle. Then that was where I now used to draw out the lines, and where I'm going to sew the Velcro and where I'm going to sew the flap. So this way it's easy. You just sort of draw everything out on the fabric. So because my fabric is thick, I did not use any interface. So I just cut the main fabric, that's the outer fabric and the lining. And I use the lining to do the outer edge. And here I'm just going to cut out about 2 inches of Velcro. There's no specific, you can make it as long as you want. And it doesn't matter as long as they're long enough to stick to each other. And yeah, there's no specific on this one. So the bias technique I use here means that I get to sew the fabric right side out on this one. So I just sort of joined the outer and the inner together first before I take it to the other machine for bias binding. This is actually optional. You can just cut your fabric, sew it inside out, but here I'm just sort of replicating what I did for the actual bags that I made for the wedding. So this was the way I finished off the flaps. So here I'm just going to join the Velcro. I actually skipped a step, sorry about it. I sewed the Velcro on the flap also. Then the opposite piece, I just sewed it on the line that we already marked out. So since we already have these places that we marked, so I just going to sew the Velcro here. Then on the opposite end, okay, let me take this out and trim. Just get all these threads out the way. Then on the opposite end, since you already marked your line out, you just put your flap on the piece. Yes, please take note of the arrangement. They sort of cross each other, so it's easier to close your bag that way. So I just sort of pinned this on the line I already marked out, and I just sewed a straight line joining the flap to the main piece. So right before I close, I have to join the let's just call them rope holders, where we're going to pass the rope through. So I just marked 2 opposite points. Then you fold the ribbon, let's just call it a ribbon. You fold the ribbon and you start from where you marked. Me, I'm using clips. You can use pin, but just make sure you hold it and you go around the piece. So one piece goes from one end to the other, then the second one sort of continues, and then you go back to the point of origin. So you have to do this before you start closing, if not your work is going to shift. So now carefully, I'm just going to sew our circle all the way around. Okay, we're done with that. So you're just going to take your main piece that you've already sewed the ribbon to, and you just sort of open it wide and clip it to your lining. But you should leave let me say like 5 to 10 centimeters space when you're sewing this. Sorry I didn't show this, but you'll see it afterwards. So I'm just going to clip this all the way around and sew the second time on the same place that I sewed the ribbons in. So we'll just quickly do that. And you have to be careful so your work doesn't shift. So just make sure it's really spread out and just open up. Well, me personally, I like to trim rough edges. So this is the hole I left so that I'll be able to turn the piece inside out. So just trim out any excess or any rough edges. This is optional. Then just grab the inner part and then you pull the right side out. So just be careful, don't pull it, don't tug it too hard. If your hole is too small, you can widen it a bit, you can loosen some of the threads. So I'm just going to open this up, pulling on our ends here. Then I'm going to sew it round again. Sorry I missed that step, but this is the last step where you get to pass the rope through the hole at the edge. So I just sort of attached it to a baby pin, and I'm going to go all the way around it. And this is actually going to be done twice, not just once, so you can pull the rope out on both ends, and it makes it super easy to just close your purse once. When you tie one end, then you go from the opposite direction. Now you're going to go round, all the way around, until you get back to your point of origin. So, and that's pretty much it for the drawstring makeup purse. So basically all it is just like a giant bonnet. It feels like a giant bonnet. So just make sure you tie the ropes properly. If you have stoppers, you can add stoppers, but I didn't use stoppers here because without stoppers it still stays closed. They don't open on their own. Just trim every edge, then you pull your threads, you pull your ropes, and then you close your flap. And that is it for the drawstring makeup purse. So thanks for watching. I hope you like and subscribe, and I guess I'll see you in my next post.